What's something that you wish you knew back in August 2023 when you were starting to study for your SAT?
I definitely needed, above a 1500. So I got my reading up, but my math went down. I scored a 1380, I think, in one whole year, and all that studying really did nothing. Really, really, really demotivated me.
You were demotivated, but still you were keep pushing yourself.
I'm done. Like, I have to get a 1500 now. We had 11 days or 12 days till the test. You were there for every small question I had. You said, okay, in the next 12 days, I'm going to get you up to your dream score. I was going to have to study a lot. I genuinely do not think I could have scored a 790 on math without you.
How are you doing?
Good.
Good, good. Nice to see you. So you took the December or November SAT?
November SAT, yeah.
November SAT, and you landed at 1530.
Man, I did it 790 math, bro.
Yes.
I did it. Let's go. I did it, bro.
Yeah,
It would
good.
not have been possible without you, man. Yep.
790 math.
hmm
Before one before that, which was in October, you took.
October, yeah.
Yeah.
I got a 1420, 710, 710.
We talk about
Mhm.
that. We're gonna talk about your SAT journey. How was
Yep,
your SAT journey? How it went for you? How did you prepare for English, for
sure.
math section, the resources, the suggestions that you might give for other students?
Yeah,
And basically just talk about like what you did, how did you improve your score? What was your first score? And how was that improvement journey? And then like
yeah,
final, how did you land into that 1530? All right,
sure,
awesome. So let's get started with my first question. I would just go back to your first SAT, your
sure.
first early struggles that you had,
hmm
because I know you started back in the time when it was paper based.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then switched
yeah,
to digital SAT, and uh, you had to adapt to that one. So let's get started with that one. What was your very first SAT test like, and did you feel prepared for that? How was that experience when
yeah,
you take your first SAT?
yeah. So I took my first SAT in my sophomore year, which
Mm-hmm.
is very, or it wasn't even my sophomore year yet. It was 2 days after my sophomore year had started, basically. So I was still like a freshman. And I was just going into 10th grade, and I took August 2024, no, 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, August 2023. That was paper back then. Math and reading, there's a completely different test, but I scored a 1380, I think,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. 1380. My math was, I think, I don't know the exact number. I think my math was 720, 730.
I'll be taking some.
Um, yeah, and I've always been better at math than I have been at reading. So I did find math a little bit easier, and I was also preparing a lot more for math. Like over the summer, I was taking a lot of tutoring classes, and I was preparing a lot. I was doing like a lot of tests every day, and
Mm-hmm.
I was also going to English classes, like English SAT tutoring classes, and doing a lot of practice tests. But I still felt like I was way more prepared for math. And so when I finished the test, I definitely felt that it was hard, and I don't think I would even if I could go back in time, I don't think I would blame myself for getting like a 1380 because that was my sophomore year, and I feel like that score isn't necessarily bad as like a diagnostic first attempt.
Yeah,
Um,
your first attempt, it was great.
yeah, so I think that was a good like starting point, but I knew I for like the goals I had set for myself in the college I wanted to always go to, I definitely needed, above a 1500.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I had like a long journey ahead of myself, and after I finished that test, I knew I was gonna have to study a lot.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
You first took the August SAT and your total score was 1380 the first attempt. And you had this goal of 1500. So I'm mapping out in my mind. Like you started here,
Mhm.
or let's say you started here 1380,
Yeah.
and the goal is 1500. Now you have
Yeah.
to get into that. And the 1380, you said your math was 710.
710, I don't remember the exact number. I think it was 710, 720, something around that.
All right. So you
Yeah.
already had a good math score, and the problem was
Yeah.
English section then.
hmm
Okay. So that was your first attempt.
hmm
And what happened after that?
So after that, I felt a little bit demotivated because I spent like the whole summer studying for the SAT.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I knew I was taking it like basically a whole year early, I really wanted to get it out of the way so that I didn't have the stress later on. So I was kind of planning ahead. But when I took that test, I was like, when I saw my score, I was kind of demotivated because although I knew I wasn't gonna get like a really good score, because like I took the test and it felt really hard. And there was like a lot of questions that I wasn't fully familiar with. So I knew I wasn't gonna get like a 1500 on my first attempt, but getting a like below 1400 definitely felt demotivating for the amount of work I put in because I studied like the entire summer. I did every single practice test. I did every single question bank test for that's from the College Board. I did like all the hard questions, and that definitely felt like demotivating. But then I took December after that. I think November or December. So that's again 2023 in my sophomore year. I studied another 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I studied as much as I did for August because just the fact that like I was in school and I didn't get as much time as I had in the summer, but I was still studying and still trying to, try my best to get a good score. And then I think so December after that, I got a 1420. My math went up to a 730 or a 740, and then my reading went up a little bit, like 10 points, I think. Or might not have gone up at all. I think my reading stayed around the same, but my math went up. So I got up to around a 1420. And then yeah, after I got that 1420 again, I felt a little bit demotivated because I studied another 2 months.
Yeah.
And that was the last paper test that they were offering. So again, it made me feel like a bit demotivated, but then I knew that, I wanted that 1500, so I'm gonna take it how many ever times it takes to get the 1500.
Yeah. The fact that you are mentioning how like how much hard you worked hard, but still your score barely improved,
Mm-hmm.
and that demotivated you so much, but still you were studying,
Yeah.
doing that. You weren't just stopping or just quitting it. So what was the main thing that was motivating you and not letting you to stop studying, although you were not improving? What was that motivation
So
behind the hard work?
yeah, so naturally I haven't been like I wasn't born like a really smart kid or like a genius. Like I know a lot of people, they're born naturally smart and they if you just give them a problem, they'll be good at it. And there's like, genetically like really smart people, but I think I've always been like on like the medium side of things. Like I wasn't born like really smart or anything. So I've been like always motivated to work hard for like all the intelligence I guess I gained. So whenever I wanted the 1500, I knew that I was gonna have to work for it. Like when I even from like back in sophomore year, I had the mentality that like I'm not like naturally like very smart and like I need to work for the score I'm gonna have to get. And I knew like I always knew I wanted to go to a really good college like UVA or University of Pennsylvania, like an Ivy League. So I knew I needed to work for it, and that was kind of motivating me to keep working for it because I knew that, I'm not naturally smart, so I have to, do every single problem and work up to that level of smart as some of the other people that are, already just like freaks of natures and like they're just instantly like they instantly get everything.
Yeah,
So for me, my brain works like I have to do a problem like a couple of times to fully learn it, and then I'll be able to do it how many ever times,
yeah,
even if we change the numbers.
yeah. So you mean having that goal, the goal that you have for your future, the college, the major that you want to study, and even
Mm-hmm.
further that. So that
Yeah,
goal is the main motivation behind this. And no matter how many times you fail,
yeah,
you were demotivated, but still you were keep pushing yourself, and it's
yeah, yeah,
because
for
of the
sure.
goal which made you to have this discipline, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. The goal of like wanting to go to like a really top university was definitely the like pedestal that was making me work hard for the
Yeah,
SAT.
yeah, and actually believing in that because
Mm-hmm.
so many students are saying, "I want to go to this Ivy League college,
Yeah,
I want to go to
yeah.
this one,"
Everyone wants to go to good colleges.
but no one works that hard even after, like after being not getting their scores, losing their
Yeah.
motivation, and just stopping working as hard as they were in the early stages.
Mm-hmm.
But you just believing in that you have to get into there, you have to get into there, and having that discipline is what actually matters, not the basically the motivation that thing. If you have the goal, big goal enough, that, and like real goal, actual goal, smart goal that you can achieve it, then it's basically the motivation and the discipline comes, right?
Yeah, yeah, for
So
sure.
awesome. So let's go back to your December SAT. Now, December SAT, you got 1420, and still you were far from the 1500. Now the test changed, switch to digital SAT, and you had to prepare yourself for the digital.
Mhm.
You had to, you might be thinking like, oh, I have to like start everything from the beginning. The test changed. What should I do now? And at that point, which decisions did you made, and what
Mhm.
was the basically the were you thinking not so let me just not take the digital SAT, or you said no, like from very beginning, I'm gonna take it? And when did you also realize that you need to change your approach of studying? What was that moment?
Yeah. So I think my thinking right after getting my December score was that, I saw that 1420 and I knew that I was still pretty far off from my goal. So I was like instantly I knew that I was gonna have to take whatever format they put in the next year. I knew like for sure I was gonna take it. It was just that like I was definitely demotivated and I had to build that motivation up slowly. So I knew I wasn't just gonna take the first one that came out. And so I didn't take like March or June. I kind of waited to like see how it actually was, what the difficulty was. I asked a lot of friends who took the first ones, and I gauged like, is it harder than the paper one? Is it easier? Like how hard is it?
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't want to just be the guinea pig and take the first one that comes out. So I definitely waited, and I waited like a pretty long time. The next one I took was October. And so I waited a decent bit of time before I took my next one because I wanted to see like I wanted to see how they changed it, how you have to study now. And as I was going and as I was like looking at videos on YouTube of how the test has changed as they release new practice tests, I realized that I mean this is a completely new test. Like it was nothing like the old one. And even the math section was entirely different. Like um at first I thought that it was a bit easier, and to this day, I would admit that the paper was a little bit harder because it was just a longer test, so you had to endure a lot more.
Yeah.
So, hats off to those who scored like a 1500 on paper because that was a bit of a harder test. If you have to take the same test but more questions, it's just genuinely going to be harder no matter what, right? So I knew that it might be a little bit easier to study for this since it is easier or since it's shorter, and I knew that I would be able to do a lot more practice tests since it's shorter. Because they cut it almost in half. I think like the paper used to be like four something hours or 3.5 hours, and now
Yeah.
it's like 2.5. So I knew I was going to be able to take a lot more practice tests and study easily. And so I kind of made the plan that I was going to study over the summer, entire of 2024 summer, and even though I was kind of busy with like my other extracurriculars and like internships, I was still trying to study to the best of my ability. And so I studied the entire summer, and then I was actually set to take August, but then I was like, I'm actually not prepared, and I didn't want to rush it at all. So I said I'm actually going to delay it, and I'll take October, even though my parents really wanted me to take August because they felt like I was prepared, but I knew that I wasn't prepared, so I waited another month and I took October.
And what did you get in that?
And so after taking October, I studied really hard. I personally think that I put in the effort, but the SAT scores would say otherwise, and I scored a 1420, which would be 710, 710. So I got my reading up, but my math went down.
Mm-hmm.
And that after I saw that score, it really, really, really demotivated me because that is the exact, well, the split is different, but that's the exact same score as I got, I mean, a
Yeah.
whole year earlier, right? So it's really
Yeah.
demotivating to see that in one whole year and all that studying really did nothing. I mean, yeah, sure, I improved by like 20, 30 points in reading, but my math score dropped. So it's the exact same score.
Yeah.
So October was definitely like after I saw my score for October, I was like absolutely like devastated, and I knew that I had to lock in, and I had to let go of everything else, like delete all social media and just lock in on SAT and get it out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like after it was after this test that you reached out to me. We
Yeah.
talk about that one, but
Mhm.
the strategy that you followed is a great strategy that you waited around 10 months after the exam switching and just
Mhm.
waiting to analyzing the exam to see how the question
Mhm.
changed by asking to your friends and
Mhm.
analyzing the new blue book practice tests,
Yeah.
doing those, practicing more to get into the October. This is I really like this strategy, but um still the score your score didn't change. I think that was because of um the math sections um time constraint and the change in the format of the math section that
The
you had.
change in format was definitely a big role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also like being the adaptive test that you have
Mhm.
little second model changes and you just get
Mhm.
slightly harder questions towards the end. I think that was the reason that made you to not get a higher score because you seems your reading and writing increase. And I agreed that in the paper-based SAT, reading and writing was harder because we had those
Yeah.
large five
Huge essays.
text,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
essays. You had to even
Mhm.
look where is this answer for this question.
Right.
You
Right.
had to even know that, but now it's just given to you this paragraph
Smaller text. Yeah.
question. You basically know where to look at. The answer is right in there, but in the other one, you had to just basically search for the answer as well, and it was just so much consuming the energy. You didn't even had energy left to do the math section. Um, all right. So you landed at 14, another 1420 in the October. Did you change anything in your studying that increased your reading and writing until the October? And what did you change after October to your last November SAT?
Yeah. So I would say, up until October, I changed a couple things. I would say I generally read a couple more like books. I wasn't really reading a lot back when I took December and I was in my sophomore year. I wasn't really fond of reading, but I tried to get myself to read a lot more.
Mhm.
And if that was articles I was interested in, just overall like captions for movies, just anything that would like simulate my brain to just read more, because like when you're dropped in that practice test or whatever test you're taking and you have to read a big passage, it's really hard to do that if you're not used to it. Like if you're used to reading even like say like movie captions and they're going like really fast and you can catch up to it and your brain is like processing that over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
that can really help with like getting better at just like the time part of it and remembering what you read, because I know I had this like struggle of like I would read a whole passage and then I would get to the question and then completely forget what the passage was about and what I read.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have that exact same struggle. And like a lot of people think that like they'll read a whole passage and then just forget what it was about because their brain actually didn't like process it and they were just like reading but they weren't understanding it. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like movie captions and just articles and books help with that a lot. And I tried to force myself to read a little bit more. um and yeah, I would say that for reading section. And then another thing I did was just overall I got older, so I think that helped a little bit. And because if you spend more time doing something, you're just gonna get naturally better at it. So just overall doing more assignments for my English class and like other stuff, I got generally better with like vocabulary. And I got better with like advanced vocabulary by taking like classes like AP Lang, and like just honors classes and harder classes. So that can definitely help a lot. So I would say that if you're taking the SAT and you're like at a younger age, that can also play a bigger role. So don't go hard on yourself if you're like 14 and you're trying to score 1500. Like you can definitely make the goal that I had of getting above a 1500, but I wouldn't push yourself over the limit because there's just a cap of what you can achieve. And even though like it's amazing that like people try to like push themselves to go above and beyond, there's just at your age like genetically like so much you can do. So don't push yourself too much, I would say. And like just let it play out and you'll naturally kind of get better at it as well, because
Mm-hmm.
you're just doing more of it and you'll get naturally better, I think. But
I
maybe
see.
that's just my
I
um thinking.
Yeah. So you say I got older while preparing for SAT.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
They say the
I grew by
college
like
board
basically a
made
whole
me
year, so
older.
yeah, it made me age for sure.
Yeah, yeah. All right, all right. So, Jeff, did you had a specific daily routine that you were doing? So, this, by the way, this movie captions um isn't a new one. I haven't heard that one. Like I
Mhm.
know that we can like go for articles and do more readings, but movie captions, this is interesting. That
Yeah,
you're
and
able
I
to
would
follow
recommend
movie captions fast.
yeah, and if people really like movies, I would try going one more step and changing the language of the movie and then
Uh-huh.
only following by captions because sometimes you'll read the captions, but
Ah,
really what you're understanding is the voice of the people. So if you want to go another step and really get better at understanding what's happening,
but you
change the
just
language
read the
of
caps, so
it.
you don't
Yeah.
understand what is going
Yeah.
on, but you
Change the
just read.
language. Yeah, change the language to like something you don't understand, like Spanish or Korean or anything. And then just only read the captions that are in English and you'll get a lot better at it.
That's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. How often were you doing this? Were you doing this daily in a daily routine
I
that you?
wouldn't say daily. I would say whenever in the weekends, like I watch like a series or a show.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do it, but sometimes it would just get annoying because like you're just trying to enjoy the movie and then you have to read the captions. But as I got closer to my SAT, I tried to do it more and more. I would say like every weekend, if I watched like one movie or one show, I would force myself to make sure that I'm watching or I'm reading the captions instead of just listening to it in English.
Hmm. I see.
Yeah.
I see. All right. All right. In this until here, up to here, what do you remember what was the most common mistake that you were doing in the test? The most common mistakes in maybe you can tell me the most common mistake
Yeah.
fully, or you can tell me the most common mistake that I was doing in English was this, and in math was this.
Yeah, English hands down would have to be the thing I said. Like I would read a passage and then just forget what I read because I wasn't actually processing it and I was just reading to read it instead of reading to understand. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that happens to a lot of people. So what I would do for that is just how I improved on that. Like I said, is just like trying to pay more attention and just force your brain to focus. And then another thing on reading was I spent way too much time on like one question and I would get stuck on this mentality that like I have to get an 800 and if I don't then I'm just like, not going to get a 1500. There's so many ways you can get a 1500 with like score combinations. Like you can get a 750 on reading and get a 15 like more than a 1500. You can get a 700 on reading and still get a 1500, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't sit there and force yourself to do one question and then sacrifice like five others because you don't have time.
Yeah.
If you don't understand a question, just move on because I personally think that, wasting time on one question isn't worth sitting there and, wasting potentially five more because you just don't have enough time and you messed up like your time management.
Yeah. Yeah. Also,
So I would,
one thing in that I noticed in the reading and writing section is that the format of the exam in that section is basically quite similar every single time. Like you
mhm.
know from which question to which question is gonna be the passage.
Yeah, yeah,
It's from where to where is grammar questions, from where to where is
hmm
comprehension,
yeah,
from where to where is vocabulary questions. And if you, let's say, have like problem in vocabulary questions, now you know from, let's say, question
exactly, yeah,
11 to 17 is vocab questions. So skip those, do the other ones, and come to them.
exactly,
If you have like problem in the comprehension section,
right.
you can skip that section and basically come to that part after that. And what was the most common mistake in the math section that you were doing?
Um, I would say just silly mistakes. Like I think even when I was with you and I was getting tutored by you, silly mistakes was like the number one thing that I would mess up on. Like I would do uh like just simple math like wrong, like simple multiplication wrong, and it would be like 10 times 18 or like 3 times 14, something like really simple that like the last step, like after you do the whole like complex stuff, you get to the last step of adding 2 plus 2, and then instead of writing 4 you end up writing like 5, like just something really simple, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
because your brain is so like wired on like, oh, I finished the hardest part, okay, easy part, like let's just do mental math instead of like actually doing the math on it. Just like it skips that small step and then that messes up your whole 2 minutes that you spent on the 10
Yeah.
points and you sacrifice the whole thing.
Yeah. Most of
So
the
I think that
students.
was the number one.
Yeah, most of the students do
Yeah.
that.
Hmm.
Awesome. So, Jim, now that you took the October, you got 1420, and actually, so the November one, the next one was uh 1 month after October, but you got your result 2 weeks. You get your results 2 weeks
Yeah.
after the October, and you had 2 weeks up to November. What happened there? What did you do there in that 2 weeks that which made
So I took October and
yeah.
the 2 weeks leading up to the score, like the after I finished the test on Saturday, from that Saturday on to the next
Mm-hmm.
Friday,
Yeah.
I did maybe one practice test and 10 to 15 like math practice questions. And so I didn't do a lot of prep. So all of my prep really came in the last 2 weeks leading up to November.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so when we get to like the score part, when I got my score, I was just so demotivated that it motivated me to be like get a good score. Like you know how like you get so mad at like a score that it actually like motivates you to like just like say like okay, I'm done. Like I have to get a 1500 now. Like I'm
Yeah.
genuinely mad. How did I do this? Like, you know, so like I feel like I got so like angry at the score I saw in my the output of the score. Like I was just so mad at it that it motivated me to like get the best possible score.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that like if whoever's watching this, if you got like a bad score, I wouldn't be like I would try to use your demo like I would use your anger to motivate yourself to take the next SAT and crush it and like do as much prep as you can because in those 2 weeks after I got my score, like I studied day in and day out. Like I studied every single day. I literally took days off of school. Like I left early from school a lot of days and I went to go study for my SAT. Like in those 2 weeks, I mean, you could probably see like just from like my score improvement, like going from a 1420 to a 1530 in 2 weeks is insane. Not even saying a mock test, like the real test, right? 1420 to 1530, it's a big improvement. So I put in like a lot of work in those 2 weeks after I got my score because I was just so mad at what I saw and my like I was just hurt at like I put in so much work and like exact same score as December of last year. So I
Mm-hmm.
it really like just made me angry and made me want to like get the best possible score.
I see. I see.
Hmm.
That the fact that you pushed even more, like
Hmm.
score didn't change, but you still push more and more, and
Yeah,
you did that. I can't like I was with you, and I knew like how intense the program was for 2 weeks that you reached an
yeah, for
and in
sure.
2 weeks like uh I wasn't sure like will you able to like study this much in every day, and you did that.
Yeah,
And so tell me about a little bit about that journey, the 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks
yeah,
you had. Tell
for
me
sure.
what happened. What did you do in those 2 weeks?
Yeah,
What was the like? How did you study
yeah.
exactly? Tell like explain
Hmm.
everything that you did because you could do that 2 weeks in the 10 months that you had from December to
Yeah,
October.
and I
You
probably
could
would
do
have
the
gotten
same thing,
1600 if
right?
I did that.
And
Yeah.
I can't imagine what would be your score
Yeah,
there. Probably you
exactly.
would land a 1600 there.
Hmm.
But what was that process that happened in that 2 weeks? And let's say someone has 2 weeks to the exam, what do they have to do so they can have the same improvement in 2 weeks?
Yeah. So right after I got my score, I was obviously really sad and like really mad because a lot of my friends also did a lot better than me. So I was just really mad overall, and it really don't like I said, like really demotivated me.
Mm-hmm.
So right off the bat, like the same day, I deleted all social media and everything that was causing me to like stay on my phone. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely did like a lot of like time management stuff. Like I instantly deleted all social media. Like I still to this day I don't have TikTok anymore because I just felt that like it was taking a lot of time off. But I deleted like Instagram. I think I deleted Snapchat as well. And all I really had was like, normal messages and like YouTube. So I deleted like all social media that was taking time away and like useless time away. So I definitely did that. And then right after the day after I got my score, I saw a video from Mobeen on YouTube. And I mean, I guess it's just meant to be, or like it was destined, because I saw the video and it said like I think it said tips for November. I don't remember exact video I saw. I think it was for the October test actually. It was like October predictions or
Mhm. Yeah,
October
yeah.
tips, something like that. It was for the previous test. And so I started watching that video to start studying. And I was like, oh, like I really like how like you taught like and you went like slowly and like you didn't even like assume that a person knew how to multiply. Like you went through every single step. Like you know how like sometimes people just be like, okay, I'm gonna assume that like you know how to do this step, so I'm gonna skip that, and then they start doing the next step. Like you went through every single small detail, and you wrote the exact answer. And I think that that helped me, and that probably helped a lot more people. And so I saw that video, and then I saw in your description that you had like a community thing on the website called School.
Yeah.
So I joined that, and I made an account, and for I think 2 more days I didn't contact you. So 2 more days I was just like normally studying, and even that studying I was like literally I got from like because that was now Monday, Tuesday, right? So I was still in school. I was like after I got from school, even if I had a test the next day, I was staying up till like 12 or 1 a.m. and just studying and doing every single practice test, every single hard test, looking at all of my mistakes from my previous test, thinking back to like the October, what I could have done wrong, just like overall trying to improve in any way I can. And then after I saw like I think you posted that you were offering private tutoring. So I saw that message and I was like, okay, look, it might be worth a try because my previous tutor that I was with the whole time over the summer leading up to October and this whole time um he was a really good tutor, but it was just not like exactly what I was looking for because it was a bigger batch of people. Like it was like 6 to 7 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at that exact time I needed more like personal
Person.
help and I needed more like one to maximum of like 3 to 4 students in my class where I'm just like getting more like help on my exact mistakes because in that class of like almost 10 people I felt like I could only ask my question every 10 minutes, like every 10 minutes, everyone gets like one turn of asking their question. And so it just felt like I was wasting that hour and a half and I could just go
Yeah.
home and look up the question online and like just look at the explanation. Right. So even though he was an amazing teacher, I feel like that class wasn't exactly helping me to the best because it was actually taking away time from me because I was like, waiting for other people's questions to be answered. And even though some of the questions we like shared,
Mm-hmm.
it was just more like they needed help on different topics than me. And I felt like, I needed more personal one-on-one tutoring
Mm-hmm.
and not even one-on-one, just a smaller batch of kids. And so after that, I felt like I needed to reach out to you. So I reached out to you and you said that, of course I can tutor you and I can help you. And so I think I think I had, I can pull up like the text to like the day that we started. You said we'll start from tomorrow. I think you said let's start from today, actually, something like that.
Yeah, it's
And
2 weeks.
yeah, I think we had 11 days or 12 days till the test. Like we had a countdown going, and you said, okay, in the next 12 days, I'm going to get you up to your dream score, but you have to put in the effort and you have to work and you have to do every single homework that I give you. And I promise you'll get it. Like you literally told me, like, I will get you the score, but you have to put in the effort.
Yeah.
And I felt like that mentality was like we shared that mentality of like I was ready to put in the effort. I just needed someone who could dedicate their time and you were ready for that. Like you were ready to put in, like you were ready for those 2 3 hour long tutoring sessions, and you were there for every small question I had, no matter if it was like a silly like second grade mistake or if it was like a really complex hard question, and like you were there for every part of it. And I feel like I genuinely do not think I could have scored a 790 on math without you. Like, I'm not even saying that because like you're in front of me. I've said it to multiple people. I've said it to my friends. I've said it to my family. I've said it to like my parents. Like, I've said it to everyone. Like, I don't think I would have scored a 790 if I didn't have a tutor like you that was there for every small like step and those like 2 3 hour long study sessions every single day leading up to the test. Like, literally, those 12 days, I think we did only like, we only missed like 2 days out of those 12 days that we didn't like have a tutoring session.
Yeah.
And those days you literally told us do this test and do all these practice questions. And so we got our questions the next day. So it worked out perfectly because it also gave us time to like, work with the questions. So like I think that helped a lot.
And how many um students were you in the class that we were doing?
Um, so there was one more student, Vanya, and then we had, I think, leading up to the test, like the couple last classes, we had one more.
Mhm.
But I didn't have any more than like two other students in my
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, yeah. And Vanya also scored the perfect map as
Yeah, she scored a perfect math. That
yeah.
was great to see. Yeah.
Yours actually, I think you scored 790, but you told me that the last moment, the last second, you changed something
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
explain that moment to me.
So during the test, I completed my whole thing and I had about a minute to go back to one of the questions that I wasn't completely sure about.
Yeah,
And so I went back, I had a minute and I looked at the like when I looked at the clock, there was I think a minute and like 8 seconds left. And so I started doing the question and I realized, okay, yeah, I did this question wrong. Let me do it again. And it was one of those like volume questions, I think. So I instantly remembered how to do it and I was plugging it into the formula and then I got my answer and I put it into Desmos to verify like the math. And I think I had 5 seconds left, clicked out of Desmos. I was going to put in my answer and I clicked backspace like 3 times to get rid of my old answer
yeah,
and the time ran out and it submitted nothing. Like it didn't even submit my old answer. I was gonna put in the right answer and it submitted nothing because
yeah.
I erased my old answer and so it went in with nothing. So I left that question
Basically,
blank.
yeah, we just few seconds you missed the
Yeah,
perfect mouse
I
code,
might
but
have gotten.
still,
Who
yeah,
knows? Maybe that answer wasn't right that I got, but I was confident that I was, and so I kind of felt bad that I left that alone because I would have gotten an 800, but I'm not complaining. 790 is still pretty
awesome.
good.
Yeah, awesome, awesome improvement. Like you had 110 points in improvement in 2 weeks. That's
two
it.
weeks you got me from 100. You improved me 110 points
Good job.
and
Good job.
790 math,
I love that.
99th percentile score.
Let's go. You have to put so much work and have a very good study plan to be
Mhm.
able to land on that and have that much score improvement. About the program that we had, we were working together. What was that one thing that had the major effect on your score improvement? Was it the tutoring? Was it the homeworks, the practice test? What was that one thing? Was it the community? What was that?
I think it was the sheer amount of work we were putting in. I think it was like just the fact that we were there every single day, maybe like 2 days we weren't doing the classes, but like almost every single day leading up to the test, we were doing those like 2 or 2.5 hour long tutoring sessions. And I think that alone just helped me improve so much because every single class I was improving and improving and improving. And I think my progression was like every 3 days I was improving by like 30 points on math. Like by the end of it, I think I took one of the tests and the last two tests that I took, I think you remember, I got an 800 on both of them. And so I was pretty confident leading up to it. And like it just the amount of work that we were putting in and the like amount of homework that you're giving us and like we were doing all of it, it helped a lot. And I feel like if you're the right person, like you also have to be the right fit for like your classes. I feel like you can't just be a student that's there, just sits there and like kind of like scribbles in their notes, like they just like sit there and like don't really work. They're half paying attention, half on their phone, and like
Yeah,
they're just there because their parents are forcing them to be there. It's
yeah,
like you have to kind of want that score,
yeah,
and I really wanted that score, so I feel like I was there 100% of the time
yeah,
and I was also doing the homework. Like if you don't do the homework that you were giving us all those like questions,
yeah,
it sounds like, oh, there's so many questions, I have so much homework, how am I going to balance it?
yeah,
But if you want that score, you're going to have to work for it, right? Like you can't just magically like get better at math. Like you're going to have to do every question and get better at everything and improve by looking at your mistakes. So
yeah,
just the amount of work that you were helping us put in was, I think, the biggest factor. But I think also like the community helped a lot because you could just put in any question you had, and Mobeen or anyone would just answer and be like, "Oh, the answer is A," and it's because whatever. And normally some people would even send like a picture of the work or like a video. Like you oftentimes whenever we had a question and like we didn't have a class like in like a couple hours, you would just send us like a big like 20-minute video of every like answering every question so that we had even more time in class to do more questions.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that helped a lot with improving
Yeah. We
like
just
everything.
basically try to eliminate any waste of time of solving questions before the
Yeah.
session. So in the session, we can have the most efficient um,
Yeah.
time together. And um,
Yeah.
the one thing that I do in my program, I haven't told you this, that I test the students in the first few sessions that they join the program to see if they are the students to put the work. As you mentioned, like
Hmm.
if you don't really study, I just contact the parent and we just refund, and we remove the student from the
Yeah,
program.
because it's not worth for both parties, right? It's not.
Exactly, because if like I will be wasting time and he or she will be wasting uh,
Yeah.
time inside the program, so it's better to just stop at the very early stages. And when I saw that desire in you, the potential that you had, that you were actually doing the work, you were following the plan, that's it. Like, okay, like this is the right student. He's going to do this. Who he's and he gonna. I'm sure he's gonna land a 750 plus, 1500 plus in 2 weeks in his November test, and you actually did that. Thank you for
Yeah.
being such a good student.
No, thank you. Like, thank you for, putting the work in me because I know that, you have a life as well. You're not just like a complete tutor all the time, right? Like you have other things going on. So it was like great seeing that like you were there for us and like you were putting that effort. So, and like I also want to mention one thing, like you were like you live in another whole country, right? So it's a whole different like time zone. And so even if it was 2 or 3 a.m. there for you, and we were here at like 7 or 8 p.m. just chilling, doing our tests, you would be there and you would never like I don't think I ever heard a complaint from you of like or even like a yawn. Like I don't even think that you ever like yawned or like just like complained, oh guys, it's like 3 a.m. I'm going to go now because I want to sleep. Like it was never like that. Like you were there for us until every single question was answered, and it was every single time. Like it's not like there was just one class where like, oh, like you were like, oh, I'm busy guys and I can't, it's 4 a.m. here, I can't do it. You were there every single time, and like just that's so
Yeah.
like that's inspiring, honestly. Like that's thank you for
The
that.
the reason for that is because I was also enjoying the work with you guys
Hmm.
that you had, and I know like we were gonna get the score, so I
Hmm.
couldn't wait to get to that exam and get the results. And I was just it was also motivating me to see you
Hmm.
when you were doing the work. It was
Right.
motivating me to give you more work, and we were just
Right.
working. And I remember like we had classes. The class is supposed to be 1 hour, but we were just going 2 hour, 3 hours sometimes classes.
Hmm.
And we were just I wasn't even noticing how the time was going.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was good to practice together in that way. Both you and Vanya. We can also talk with Vanya about her journey.
Hmm.
But if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's aiming for a 1500 plus in their SATs, what would it be, Jeff?
So I would just say with the SAT, you get what you put in. Like if you put in your absolute best and you work every single day and you do every single question, there's nobody stopping you from getting a 1500. Like I'm not I like I said, like I'm not like insanely smart. I'm not like some genius that just like worked for 2 hours and got like a 1530. Like I had to put in the work, right? So I would say that like the biggest piece of advice, and I'm not like a 1600 score, right? So I'm not like perfect, but just take my advice for like a grain of salt. But I would say that SAT is like it is all about what you put in. Like if you put in your absolute best, you'll get the best score that you can possibly achieve. Like if you put in the the most work that you can humanly put in your schedule, then I promise nobody's stopping you from getting like a 1550 or even like a 1600, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't get demotivated by like your score. I would just keep working like I said, like 1420 to 1530 in 2 weeks. Because honestly, I didn't even study much before I got my score because like I just didn't feel like it, and I was really tired. So emotionally, I was drained, and mentally, I was drained. So I really only studied for 2 weeks. So I got like a 110-point score improvement in like 14 days. So I would say that, the biggest piece of advice I can give is just put in the work, and I promise, like, also don't expect to get it on your first try. Like sometimes you just
Yeah,
like you're not gonna get it on your first try, right? Like
yeah,
there's so many factors that go into play. Like it could be your sleep that you got that night. It could be, the room that you're in, the psychological state that you're in. Like there's so many factors that play a role. Just don't expect your first try to be the best. You're gonna have to
yeah,
take it maybe second, like two, three, maybe even four times. Like you have to put in the work, and I promise you'll get it. Whatever, how many ever attempts that is.
yeah. First time is just trying to see
Yeah,
like
it's like a
what is the
diagnostic, basically.
situation, like what is going to a
Yeah,
sentence
for
as you
sure.
take the test and just having the experience. I
Yeah.
always recommend all the students to go for the second time, or
Hmm.
sometimes the third time if
Hmm.
necessary. Fourth time, how many times you take it is actually doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, because colleges can't see it. Like
Yeah,
unless you specifically say, I got this on my first attempt, or I got this on my fifth attempt, sixth
yeah,
attempt, they will never see how many times you took it. You could take it 200 times, and they'll never know. Like
yeah,
you could keep going until you get a 1600, and nobody will know.
yeah,
Okay. Like, if you tell them, sure, they'll know. But there's no way of colleges, like you can look this up. There's no way of colleges knowing how many times you took it unless you fill out a form that says, or unless they specifically ask you,
yeah,
like some colleges, again, some colleges ask you to state it, but that's very selective, like few colleges. And even like a lot of Ivy Leagues don't care how many times you took it. So like there's no limit to how many times you should take it. Obviously you're spending a lot of money, so I wouldn't just keep taking it every like week for fun or anything, like every month. But try your best and take it how many times you want.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Your first SAT was August 2023. What what's something that you wish you knew back in August 2023 when you were starting to study for your SAT?
It's not gonna be easy. Like I thought that I would go into that test, I'd be done 1500, and it would be over, and like life is good. I would just finish on my first attempt. That was not the case, and I don't think that's the case for a lot of people. So I would just say that, like, don't expect to be done on your first attempt. So
I
yeah.
so you mean not just rushing into the exam and just saying like in first
Mhm.
attempt I'm gonna do it, and if you can't get your score in the first attempt, don't be demotivated. I see. Awesome, awesome, Jeff.
Yeah.
Too many
Thank you
tips,
for.
too many tips for students to go and apply. Too many stuff, too many notes that I took about your journey, how you improved both English and math section. You got your final uh, target score, hopefully, and now you're free with this SAT. You don't have to
Yeah.
take it anymore, and you can just focus
Yeah.
on other parts of the application. And we've learned that improvement is possible if you approach it the right way. And how you went from 1420 into 1510,
1530.
in 2 weeks with a 790 math, with 800 actually, but anyway, the actual score is 790. And if you're preparing for the SAT, for all the students that are watching, if you're preparing for
Yeah.
AT, I hope these insights that you've shared will help you, and just keep pushing, stay consistent, and you will see the results. And if you want to see the strategies that we worked with Jiv, the resources that we worked, how we had that improvement, you can check the resources in the description. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comments. Join the community. You can DM me and ask me your questions in the community. Any other insights that you would like to share? Otherwise, we can end this.
No,
Uh,
I think I did like a brain dump on everything I know SAT wise. Guys, I can't recommend Mobin's like tutoring program enough. I swear I'm not saying that because he like paid me money or anything. Like you can contact me and I'll show you the work we put in. I can show you like the screenshots of him sending me like videos of him solving questions. I promise this is not like a fake interview or anything. I can show you all the work. I can show you my SAT score if you want. And I would not like I can't recommend Mobeen enough. Like he's a really good tutor, and I think that if you're at that point where I was, where you're at like a 710 to 730, like hell of like, I just can't improve. Like I'm doing every question, but it doesn't seem like I can improve. Just contact Mobeen, and I think he can help you. And overall, just put in the work, and you'll get it.
Appreciate your honest and kind words, Jeff.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thanks for
of
all,
course,
and thanks for the time that you put
of
joining
course,
and recording this session with me.
of
And I wish
course.
you good luck in the rest of your journey of application to the colleges, and
Yep.
hope you get that target college for the
Hopefully,
next
yeah,
goal.
yeah. Hopefully. Thank
Great.
you so much, Mobeen. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Take care, and I'll see you.
Yep. Thank you.